first tour of duty as Attorney General, a Republican columnist who worked for Republican President Richard Nixon referred to him, gave him the label of cover-up general in those days. What does this do to the future of Attorney General William Barr?
Well, I think many people who are watching this program and listening to you tonight may be feeling a little bit of anguish, maybe even some despair. And I think that they should know that we're here in the last hours before this dam cracks, that the White House yesterday served a letter on Deutsche Bank saying we don't want you to cooperate with the congressional subpoena. That letter is, you read it, I mean, it's been a long time since I read law, but you read it and you think, this is poor work. But sometimes when you have no facts and no arguments on your side, the best work you can do is pretty poor, in which they are saying, you know, Deutsche Bank, you can refuse the subpoena for a whole list of reasons that every Supreme Court case on the congressional subpoena power says they cannot do. They're going to try to interfere with other congressional subpoenas. But the law is clear. If Congress can legislate on something lawfully, so they can't ask you to produce something that would violate your First Amendment or Fourth Amendment rights, but if they can legislate, they can get the material they need for the information so you can legislate. These cases are going to be lost. Trump administration is playing for time. They are hoping they can push this beyond November of 2020. That will be up to the courts, but they are going to lose and lose and lose.
And I think public opinion's with us, Lawrence. I think on this particular issue, is the president
it is, all the polls show that, but what does that matter in the way this administration itself? They don't seem, they've never cared about public opinion. They only care about Trump base opinion, which they have.
I think that this is all the more reason why we have to go to the mat on this particular issue. We have to go to the mat in exercising our right to subpoena and to potentially holding people individually in contempt with regard to this particular investigative right of Congress. If we can't do this, we might as well just go home.
But Congressman Khanna, it's my sense that this administration is happy to watch you use all those tools and contempt and anything you want to do, because the only thing they care about is how many days it eats up on the calendar, and they simply want to push this thing. They don't have to push it all the way to November of 2020. They just need to push it well into 2020 so that the whole political community just kind of throws up their hands and says, okay, it's too close to the election for us to try to do anything conclusive, anything like an impeachment procedure.
I think you're absolutely right. I mean, their hope is that Trump becomes the Republican nominee, and then they'll say, oh, how unfair. You can't disqualify the Republican Party's nominee. And they just need to push this out till January, till the Iowa caucuses. That's why the thing they're petrified of is someone coming before live television. The president understands that. He didn't care if Don McGahn was talking to Mueller in a confidential 448-page report. But the president understands television, and what he is scared of is if Mueller or McGahn or these folks come and testify on live TV. I mean, you saw the impact of the Kavanaugh hearing, where the president actually first thought that Christine Blasey Ford had won the day. And I think that's the only thing that can change public opinion.
Neil Katyal, is there any tactic available that can somehow speed up these processes to kind of make the process move more quickly for the Democrats in the House?
I do. I think that they can have expedited proceedings if in court, if the administration decides to try and block people from testifying and the like. So I do think that that's possible. But I think, Lawrence, I mean, there are two really fundamental issues apart from the politics or even the law. One is, what does it say about us if we don't launch investigations and subpoena people right away? I think it just says that we're also, in some sense, not, weak and not afraid and too afraid to get at the truth. The other is what it says about them, because even if they can stretch this out a little bit, maybe they'll even stretch it out to next year's election cycle, there is now a damning historical record, not just about the president, but about his Attorney General, Bill Barr. And I used to walk down the Justice Department on the 5th floor and see all those portraits of legendary attorneys general, Griffin Bell and Robert Jackson and people like that. Bill Barr will not be like that. There is no chance anymore. He has fundamentally sullied his reputation and his legacy with the way he's acted. And, in the history books, these folks will go down for what they are.
And David, from whoever Donald Trump chose as his next attorney general at that moment in time knew that he or she was going to take a very significant place in history. History is being handed to that attorney general. This was not going to be a forgotten attorney general. And Bill Barr seems to have made his choice for history.
Well, he may just have made a bad calculation. People sometimes do. He may have thought, maybe I can do this for a little while, return to my law firm, eat lunch in Washington, be a big man. And a former attorney general is one of the greatest jobs in the American legal profession, if you don't disgrace yourself, and maybe it'll work. But there are too many cracks in the dam. The emoluments case, cracking just as we speak. The tax returns case, are able to slow that one down. But the Deutsche Bank subpoena, Deutsche Bank wants to release those documents because Deutsche Bank has important reputational risk. They don't want to be seen as stooges for Russian money launderers. And I don't know that they're going to be able to resist having the people in this White House case refuse subpoenas from Congress, from the House of Representatives. Remember also, only one House needs to vote to hold someone in contempt, not both.
At the end of the day, Lawrence, the option is either to proceed with our strategy of issuing subpoenas and holding people in contempt, or doing nothing. That's it. And we can't afford to do nothing at this point. We have to continue, and if there's some delay, fine, but we have to do this for the purpose of our Congress.
We're going to have to squeeze in a break in our breaking news coverage. Congressman Ro Khanna, Congressman Raja Krishnamurthy, Neil Katyal, David Frum, thank you all very much for joining our discussion and starting us off tonight.